Alright, this is a follow-up video for my last one I did on how to do program changes with the MPC 1000. For this example, I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time, albeit much quicker, and I'm going to compare it to the alternative method of program changes using the step edit mode. I'm also going to show you why I don't use it, and I'm also going to show you why you possibly might want to use it. So, we've got a blank sequence here on the MPC. I've got a blank patch on the base station, or an initialize patch there, and hopefully that's loud enough. I'm not doing any direct sound. Let's just get started. Let's get down to track 1. The base station is on MIDI channel 1A. Like before, we've got to go to program number. Normally this is where you would set your patch number, which is how we're going to do it first. So I press the window key to get to the program change dialog. We're going to do yes for this. We're going to not have to edit any of the bank select because the base station does not have that. So once this is changed to yes, we're going to click close. And then now, as we change this, our patch selection on the base station is also changing. So here we go. We should have an initialized patch on the base station, or maybe not. Let's try that. Nope. Good Lord, get with it. There we go. There's the one I did. Okay. So that's there. We're just going to record in something. Okay. Easy enough. So here's the deal. Whenever I load this sequence, that's when the program change is here, that's when it is broadcast through MIDI. That's when that patch request is being made, which is the way I like it, because when I push play, I'm going to edit the filter knob or the pitch on this initialized patch just so you can hear the changes. And keep an eye on our it's a 2-bar loop. Keep an eye once we reset back to 1. You can see that our changes are persistent. Okay, you can see that the changes we made on the instrument were persistent, even though we were looping and coming back around. Again, that's because this request was made when this sequence was loaded, and it's only loaded the one time whenever we select to it. Let's go ahead and do it the other way. Let's go to another new sequence. So now we're on 61. We're going to have to set it up initially the same way. We're going to change that. Let's go ahead and get on MIDI channel 1 there. We're going to hit the window button here again after we've changed it to program number, and then a number there. Again, yes, close. Now, at this point, you have to turn this off. That's the mistake that is unwritten anywhere that I fell into, and a lot of people have fell into, because if this is set to program number, this is going to override any event that we insert into the step edit mode. Likewise, if this is set to any other program, these sounds are also going to be triggered, as well as the MIDI note out. So you have to set that to off. I'm going to quickly record in something, so there are notes. If we go mode step edit right now, it's empty. Of course we can insert it here, but I want to put something in just so we can experiment a little bit. So okay, obviously that was not an initialized patch. Let's go ahead and go mode step edit. And then now we can see the notes. These are all the pads I've pressed with your pad number and velocity. we're going to scroll all the way up to 1 because that's where we want our patch change to be. We're going to press Insert, and this is already at Program Change. It should start at Note, and you've got a whole list of things that you can, event triggers that you can insert here. We're concerned with Program Change. We're going to click Do It. You can see that it's below the first note. That's okay. It's still on 0. This is going to go out and change the patch on 0. I right arrowed over, cursor keyed over to this number, just like before. This is going to be our patch number that we're changing to. It's fairly straightforward. You just set it here. And I think that's where I need to be. So, let's click the main button, and we're back to this screen. So I'm going to push play. And as you can see, I haven't physically changed any patches on the base station, but we're back up to that initialized patch. So here's the thing now. I'm going to push play again. Keep your eye on the time on this and see if you can notice what's happening. I'm going to tweak something, and I'm going to stop tweaking right before this rolls over to 1. You can see once we hit 1, let me add some crazy effect, some LFO to the pitch. Do it again. So there it is. And as you can see, every time we cycle back to the end of our 2-bar set, we hit that event mode, step edit. Every time we play through this, once we cycle back up, it's going to send this event trigger, this program change request, every single time. So if you're playing like I do and tweaking on short loops, you know, usually nothing greater than a 16-bar loop, and you're tweaking something real time, every time the MPC gets back to, you know, step 1, it's going to send that program change again, negating all of the tweaks you've done to your patch. Basically recalling the patch again. So unless you have an instrument that auto saves every time you make a tweak, that's what's going to happen, which is why I don't use it. Very specifically that reason alone. One reason you may want to use it, you can do this. So we're at 1-1. Let's scroll down to I guess it's only a 2-bar sequence. Okay, let's go to 2-1. Here, so this is halfway through our 2-bar loop. I'm going to insert again a program change, do it, and I can edit the time here to get let me get it right on the clock so it changes before that note is pressed. Do it. Okay. So we can see here we've got a program change on 1, we've got a program change on 2. And I'm just going to leave that at, 1, which is going to pull up patch 0 on the base station. And we can hear what that's going to do now. This is the only reason you might use it. If you're using the same instrument to pull up different patches within the same sequence. And you can see as soon as we hit 2, it's pulling up the different patch. Which, I mean, if it's something you need to do, there's that option. The only other thing, but again, I mean, even if you're tweaking either one, it's going to reset to the original patch that's being called on the device. The only other reason I think you might want to use that is if so I've got track 1 set up and we're alternating between 2 patches right now. Here's the only other thing. Let's go up to track 2. I'm going to go to track mute and mute track 1. We're going to go to track 2. We're going to set it up quickly, just like before. Got to turn that off. Okay. And now I'm going to, let me go mode, step edit again. Now there's nothing on here. That's okay. Like before, we're going to insert a program change, do it. Now let's go let's go up to there. I'm not sure what that is. Hopefully it's different sounding enough than the first one. So let's go to main, and I'm going to record a completely different pattern here, and hopefully it'll be audible. Okay, the steps are in there, but I did not set the MIDI channel to 1, so now this is what we have. Okay, so let's go to track mute, and this, again, this is the only other reason, is if you are really short on instruments, and you want, I want this to play, you know, and you got your track playing, and it's going to loop one more time, and then I'm going to switch it over. And now we're over to that distorted one. If you change these while it's playing, before the program change is called, it's going to continue to play these notes on the patch that was called on this track. So until we hit that second patch change on that, if that makes any sense. Hopefully you're understanding that these lists in step edit mode, these are timed events, so it's just constantly playing on a loop. Every time you pass this, it's going to call the change. So A, negating any tweaks or anything you've made on the actual instrument itself, or B, if you're on a different track, changing the patch and the note, you know, whatever sequence you've programmed into. So hopefully that makes sense. Obviously use whatever you find easiest and need to, but hopefully that explains to anyone who's been having trouble with it. I think I'm going to do another video on, probably a big long video, on how I use the MPC as a sequencer for electronic music, because there aren't a lot of videos on that. There's 1.5 billion on how to cut samples and do hip hop and stuff like that, but I don't do any of that, so I think I'm going to do another video. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe. Bunch of other random crap coming too. Probably not music related, but either way. Hope this helps you out. Thanks.